Gonna mute you all. Here it comes. Goo 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 goo. Goo 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 goo. Goo 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 goo. Goo 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 goo. Thank you, Linda. Goo 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 goo. 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 Goo 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 goo. So just by way of reminder, this exercise addresses the issue of the vocal cords not meeting. When we do a vocal fry, we are causing our chords to come together in the way that they are supposed to. And the letter G also causes our vocal cords to come together in the way that they are supposed to. When our chords don't meet properly, and some of us that happens, not only do we sacrifice some tone, because air, whenever there's a gap in the vocal cords, some air escapes, and you hear it in the singing. You hear if somebody's got a breathy tone, or you hear some air escaping while they're singing. That's because the vocal cords are not meeting. But here's the other thing that happens. Some of us subconsciously manipulate something on the outside to try to get our vocal cords to meet. So we strain our neck, we strain our jaw, we manipulate our tongue. Something on the outside is trying to get the cords, is trying desperately to get the cords to meet in a secondary way, which introduces tension and other problems to our singing. So the whole idea of this is we get our chords to meet the way they're supposed to, without all of that. Then we get rid of tension, we get rid of external manipulation, and we don't even realize we're doing it. We don't realize that our neck is a little bit tight. We don't realize that we raise one shoulder, or that we do something with our jaw or our tongue. It's just our body trying to get the chords to meet because they're not meeting. Teal could probably give us, 100 examples of this in chiropractic, where if something is out of alignment or tense or out of place with related to the spine, our body does all kind of weird things to compensate for it. If one hip is higher than the other, you walk around like that for a while, you get all these secondary problems that are not the hip. They're like down the chain of command, somewhere far away from the hip. You get a problem in your shoulder, but the cause of it was the fact that your hips were out of alignment. So the same thing happens with our vocal cords when they're not meeting. So that's why we start with this exercise. We're trying to just gently get our chords to meet and relieve any external manipulation that we do to try to get that happening. Okay, this one, minga, 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 is to open up the nasopharynx resonance, which a lot of us, it just closes off and we don't even realize it's happening. Minga, 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 minga. Hi, Jane. Minga, 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 ming. Minga, 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 ming. We can't say an M or an NG without the nasopharynx vibrating. Ming, 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 ming. Ming, 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 ming. Ming, 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 ming. Ming, 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 ming. Ming, 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 ming. Ming, 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 ming. Ming, 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 ming. Do you feel this exercise vibrating in the top part of your head? Do you sense that when you're singing it? If you do, that's just evidence of where the vibration is taking place. Okay, here comes nay, 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 the nasal one. This is to activate the front part of our face, sometimes called the mask. Voice teachers will say, I want the sound to resonate in your mask. That's what this is doing. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. It doesn't have to be loud. It can be a little bitty sound as long as it's in that nasal place. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. If we could picture the center of our sound, picture it as a little red rubber ball that's inside your head somewhere. Picture a little red rubber ball about this big that's somewhere in your head, and that represents the center of your sound. My concept of where we want that ball to be ideally would be, if looking from the front, it would be here, and looking from the side, it would be here. Can you picture that? So if the ball is in our mouth or in our throat, it's too low. We want the sound to be up above our mouth, the center of it to be up above our mouth, up in this department, above our ears, and then halfway back. Can you picture that as the epicenter of the sound? I realize these are highly conceptual things, and we're talking about muscles that we can't see, that are hard to control, but sometimes it helps to have a concept. Okay, here comes the lip buzz. This one addresses tongue tension, which is another common problem. Hey, I'm getting better at this. This raspberry thing was hard for me at first. And I notice it gets harder as I go higher because my tongue wants to pull back and get in the way. Quite a lot of spit just came out. Okay, now let's do this one. Hi, Ann. Hi, Alan. I love seeing all your faces, and I'm always amazed that you keep showing up. Every Friday, I'm amazed that you guys show up. I fully expect it just to be me and Helen one week. Let's do this. This is the NG sound with the mouth mostly closed. Did you ever think ever dream in your wildest dreams that you'd be doing this 2 years ago? I did not. I was not familiar with Zoom. I wasn't doing any kind of video conferencing type of thing. I didn't have a webcam. So as I go up, I picture this. I picture the opening narrowing as I go up, not widening. I picture it narrow. I picture that I'm singing into like an attic. So as I go up with this NG sound, in the visual image I have is that the sound is going up into a space that is becoming increasingly narrow. Now, it doesn't ever touch like that. It's more like this. So it's wider. When I'm singing low, it's easy, right? We're singing low, it's easy. But as we get higher, I picture the opening in my throat narrowing, not in a way that squeezes the sound, but in a way that sort of embraces the sound. I also picture it like we've talked about this before, like when you're using the garden hose and you put your finger over the end of it to make it squirt farther. That's making the aperture smaller, so the pressure increases. That's what I picture in my singing. Where were we? The top note of that feels like it's in a narrower space than the bottom note feels like, at least to me. I don't know if that imagery helps you, but that's how, if I try to sing the sound too wide, I lose control of it. When I think of it as narrower, I'm able to control it more. So I was asked to come help teach a small class of high school boys who are studying voice with a friend of mine. She asked me to come do some work with them on Wednesday, and I introduced them to the concept of a mix, which this is something that I started studying voice when I was a sophomore in high school. I studied in high school, then I studied in college. Nobody ever talked to me about mix. I was just trying to sing my chest voice up as high as I could and wondering why I was having so much trouble. But no one ever said to me, there's this thing called a mix. So that's what I've been working on with my current teachers. And they always say to me, what do you need to have to create a mixture? Well, you need to have at least two things. right? To make a mix, you have to have two or more things. In this case, you have chest voice and head voice. That's what you're mixing. Chest voice and head voice. All of us have chest voice and head voice, whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not. We're all born with chest voice and head voice. The thing we're not born with is mix. So I wanted to show you something. Here's what I showed them. Can you see this? It's two brackets that don't intersect. One says chest voice and one says head voice. So some of us, this is what our voice feels like right now. It feels like we have these two registers and they're completely separate. And there's like a trap door between them. I'll demonstrate. That's the classic break between chest and head. Now I'll do it on the way up. So you hear the register change plain as day. So that's head voice and chest voice. What we're going for is this. We want to get the two registers to overlap. And the place where they overlap is where we have the opportunity to mix. And the bigger the overlap, the better opportunity. We can mix more notes if the overlap of the two registers is bigger. So one way to do that is to sing our head voice down, 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 as low as we can using exercises. Now, the head voice doesn't need to sound beautiful in these exercises. It just needs to function. And the more down, down, down we sing the head voice, the greater the overlap. And that's where the ease of singing happens, where we've got an overlap of the muscles. The muscles that do chest voice and the muscles that do head voice. We get this ever increasing area of overlap. And that is a really beautiful, easy place to sing, is the mix. Now, some of you have experienced this mix sound. Some of you still have not, and I get it, because I didn't start experiencing it until my late 40s and early 50s. I'd already been singing professionally for decades. Wrong. I've been singing without a mix. Or maybe if I had been doing it, maybe it was by accident, but it wasn't on purpose. Now using the mix, I have a greater ease of singing in the problem areas, and I have easier access to high notes because I'm using the muscles that I'm supposed to be using. So when we hear somebody like Pavarotti or Joshua Kaufman or Jonas Kaufman, excuse me, or any of the great opera singers, when they are singing those brilliant high notes, men or women, they are singing in a mix. It is not a chest voice. It is not a head voice. It is a mixture that they have developed over time to where it sounds very brilliant and muscular, but it is a mixture. They're not pushing their chest voice. Yes, question.
I find that in that, what I used to call the break, once I get below that, if I am in chest voice, I can make a noise, but it's strained. It's a strained noise. Volume, I mean. And then once I get above the break, I have volume. But if I try and do my head voice down into the chest voice area over the break, I lose volume.
Right.
Almost completely.
Yeah, that's normal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's pure head voice, and what I'm talking about is a mix, but we have to exercise them separately in order to exercise them together. So let me show you what I'm talking about, and this is going to be awkward for us at first because it doesn't sound good, and we don't like how it sounds, and we don't like how it feels. Don't worry about it. So here's what I've been doing lately. I've been singing my head voice down low. So for the women, you're going to be up here in head voice. Men, we're going to be down here, and it's going to sound like this. Try to make sure that you're in your head voice, even though it's low and even though it sounds weird and feels funny. We're singing in head voice. Sounds ridiculous, right? So this is lower than I would ever sing my head voice in a performance. I would never use this in a performance. This is strictly an exercise to build muscle. So here's the other thing. For each of us, the breaking point is different. The point at which we switch back and forth from head to chest is a little bit different. So if I'm starting down here and this is too low for you or too high, just wait a minute and jump in when it feels right. Just test it. And if that note's too low, wait for the next one. Too low, wait for the next one. Each of us has a different breaking point between chest and head that we have to navigate. So I think we were about right here. By the way, there's not just one big break. Most of us have a gear shift of some kind about every 4 notes or 5 notes. Our muscles are wanting to adjust and produce the sound a different way. So be patient with yourself. I want to start doing these exercises, these low head voice exercises on a regular, frequent basis. It might take a year or 6 months for you to notice a difference in your own voice. But eventually, what's happening to me is these same notes I'm able to then mix with a combination of head voice and chest voice. So here's what my mix sounds like currently. All of those notes are neither chest voice or head voice. They're both together. I'm in the area where they're overlapping. And it's so much easier to sing in a mix, those notes in a mix, than it is to sing in my chest voice. In my chest voice, I feel like I'm carrying a backpack full of rocks. When I use my mix, I have much greater freedom as I cross through my break into my higher register. It's the musculature is being coordinated by the mixing of the registers. So I want us to talk about it. I want us to do these exercises. And over time, I want to ask you, do you feel like you're able to mix now? You've got access to these other muscles that you weren't used to singing down so low. So we sing way down past where we're ever going to use them in performance, but then in the zone where we need them, the muscles become ready to accept some of the responsibilities. That makes sense as a concept. Even if your voice isn't able to do it yet, does it make sense as a concept? Okay, let us sing some music, shall we? How about Lux Eterna? I'm kind of curious to know if you guys can do this without the track. If I just play and give some starting notes, would you be able to hang on to your own note? Let's try it and then we'll talk about it. You can tell me how you're doing. Here we go, tenors and basses at the beginning. 2, 3, 4. Requiem aeternam dona eis Domine, et lux perpetua luceat Lux lux aeterna, logea Deis, lux aeterna, dona eis Domine basis, requiem, requiem. I'm going to stop right there. How many of you are able to hang on to your part just with me playing the way I'm doing it, and you don't have anybody helping you? No track, no voice, no nothing. You're able to hang on to it. Anybody feeling lost already? Okay, good. Let's start then. That's incredible to me that you've learned the music, that you've achieved that much independence with the music, online and in rehearsals. Let's start top of 5 with the basses, and I won't stop this time. Top of 5 basses, third measure, and then altos and tenors answer with this. Here we go. 2, top of 5. Requiem. Requiem. So that's the first time we've tried that with just a piano accompaniment and no vocal cues of any kind. How in the world did you do? Did you get some of it and not some of it?
I'm fine as long as I don't hear any of the other parts.
Well, that's still something to me, that you can hang on to your line independently without all the other, without hearing any vocal cues of any kind.
Yeah.
So I admire that. Now, having said that, where did you get lost? And let's rehearse it.
I get lost on page 8, Number 4. From number 4, that's measure 36 through measure 48 is where I get lost.
Okay, so is it this entrance at 36 that's a little bit hard to find, perhaps?
I can get the entrance, but what happens is when I get to around 39 or 40, where the lines, don't overlap, is where I get totally confused.
Okay. So there's a key thing before you come in where the altos have this line. They're handing the tenors and basses their note. So their last 3 notes, top of 8. Ternum, that's our note. Quia pi. So let's start there with the basses. 1, 2. Quia pius es requiem aeternam dona eis Domine. Now, do you get lost before that, or are you able to sing through the top of 9 with some certainty, or has it happened before that?
It happens around measure 40 thereabouts is where things start falling apart for me.
Okay, so let's start now. Now let's start the last measure, top of 8, and I'm going to give everybody else your notes, so you can be practicing while we're working on bass stuff. So here's bass, tenor, alto, soprano. This is the last measure, top of 8. 2, 3, 4. Requiem aeternam dona eis Domine, luceat eis, luceat lux aeterna. And you're probably okay once you get to the key change. That sort of feels like home base. One more time. Last measure, top of 8, and then I'll take requests from other sections. So bass, tenor, alto, soprano. Last measure, top of 8. 2, 3, 4. Requiem aeternam dona eis Domine, luces luceate, luceat, luceat, lux aeterna. Does that help a little bit? I realize it's easy when you and I are singing it together, we're helping each other. But then when you're on your own, it's harder. Any other specific sections or parts?
Same place for the altos.
Okay, so let's try that.
Also on page 10 for the altos. I mean, not, yeah, is it 10 where we get lost? Yeah, up at the top of 10.
Okay, so let's do this section at 8 for altos for a moment. I'll give the other parts their notes too. Here's the bass, alto, tenor, alto, soprano, and we'll focus on the alto. 2, 3, 4. Requiem aeternam dona eis Domine, et lux perpetua luceat eis, luceat, 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 requiem I'm guessing altos, when you get to the key change, you feel sort of like I made it. I'm safe. Let's go back, please. Last measure, top of 8. This is a tricky section for everybody. Here's bass, tenor, alto, soprano. 2, 3, and Requiem aeternam dona eis Domine et lux perpetua lucea Deis luceat, luceat, requiem aeternam dona eis Domine. Now, easy to do when I'm playing it and singing it, not so much when you're on your own, but I keep thinking that if we keep going it over and over it in this manner, that eventually we'll be able to hang on to it ourselves.
Is there very little for alto measure 45 when it says retard? I'm not hearing a retard,
Yeah,
and then I try to slow down, and then I'm lost getting the next note.
I might not be slowing down enough. That's going to be at the discretion of your conductor, whoever your conductor is.
Okay, all right, because I've got a little lost there.
So that I'm not necessarily helping. Luceat, luceat, requiem aeternam dona eis Domine. It's
Thank
funny.
you.
It's
Can
funny.
we go? Can we continue it through 10? And because I'm having problems with 10 and we're not doing that page.
You bet.
So,
Let's
okay,
do
thanks.
let's do pickups to the key change. Requiem, altos. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Requiem aeternam dona eis Domine et lux perpetua lucea Deis cum sanctis tuis in aeternum quia pius es. One more time, same thing.
That's fine when there's not other people singing. It's
Yeah.
when the other people are in.
When I'm not playing the alto part, right? Let's try this. Let's try, I'm not going to play the notes or sing the notes. I'm just going to get you started. Okay, then I'm going to play the accompaniment. 1, 2, 3. How did you do? With me not singing or playing anything, it's fine. Now we'll go back and try to seam it together. I think 8, 9, and 10 are the hardest pages of the song. I mean, that's kind of stating the obvious, but any other individuals want to look at a specific section? If not, I'm going to start last measure, top of 8. I was a little scared of this piece when we started it. I wasn't sure how we were going to learn such a difficult thing online. And look at us now.
Don't feel like the Lone Ranger, Paul.
But I don't feel afraid of it anymore. Having spent time with it now, sort of and picked it apart in a million ways, it's like we've demystified it. Okay, here we go. Top of 8, last measure. Bass, tenor, alto, soprano. 2, 3, 4. you doing? Any better than 10 minutes ago? Okay, so now I want to go back a little bit further. Let's start top of 7 and see if we can kind of string this together, top of 7. And then I'm going to ask you again how you're doing hanging on to your part. Now, the other thing is that I'm sort of faking the accompaniment. I'm trying to do a chord analysis and grab vocal parts to try to help you a little bit. Some of what I'm playing is I'm playing vocal lines, not accompaniment, because I'm trying to help support the vocals. So if I were to play the accompaniment, you wouldn't hear the exact same notes. I'm sort of glancing at it saying, well, that's F sharp minor chord. So I'm playing F sharp minor in my left hand and then trying to play the alto part of my right hand. That's what's going on in my brain, in case you were interested. By the way, the old sort of spinning wheels that they have like on Sleeping Beauty or like in old movies? That's really the equipment that I'm working with in my head. It's all made of wood and like pulleys and ropes and stuff. There's nothing modern or fancy. It's all like manually operated sort
I'm
of.
surprised we don't see any smoke coming out of your ears.
Well, because the smoke hole is in the back. But there's definitely smoke coming out, and there's like wood shavings and stuff like that. It's a gruesome process. There's hamsters, the spinning wheels, you know the drill. So here's top of 7. Here's the tenor and soprano. It's this. Remember this? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Top of 7. This alto line. Somebody said there's a YouTube performance, so I'm going to try something. I'm going to pull up my browser, see if I can find it. Maybe we can sing along with that. Sounds good.
This just I don't know if Jonathan remembers this, but some of us sang this 6 years ago, the first summer, and he said something like, as long as you if you can get in the notes, but you can't get all those words in, sort of say cantaloupe. I don't know. He came up with those words cantaloupe. So if you can't say blah, 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 just go, get the melody and the rhythm. But if you can't hit every single word on forget some of those words.
Interesting.
That's what he said, and that was 6 years ago. I don't know if he still, does anyone else remember him saying you could sort of fake the words?
Yeah.
With cantaloupe. Okay, signing off. Don't ask me again.
You just made it all up.
I'm going to share my screen. And I found a video. Some of you are probably in this.
We turn now to another marriage of old and new material. One of the oldest prayers in the Roman Catholic tradition is the Requiem Mass, which is said, as is the Jewish mourner's Kaddish, in memory of a loved one. The next piece is one of the movements, one of the prayers, that is often included in the musical setting of the Requiem, and the text is Lux Aeternam. From the Latin, it is translated as in eternity.
I'm going to skip ahead to where you guys sing. Just sing along as best you can. How did you do?
Didn't hurt that we could see the director.
Yeah,
It didn't hurt that we could see the conductor.
I agree. You know what makes me happy too is seeing a group of you singing together in an actual choir formation. Uh, anyway,
Is the pace a little different, a little slower maybe?
yeah, a little slower, and the retard is different. It's all kind of organic at the discretion of the conductor. Okay, let's move on. Rise, shine. Da dee da 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 da. I should sing this to my daughters every day when I wake them up. When I go in the room and it's all dark and they're all snugly and sound asleep and the noisemaker's on. Rise, shine, for the light is a coming. How to make your kids hate you first thing in the morning. My parents used to have a record. I can't remember who the artist was. We had one of those record players that the lid slid open and you drop the record down inside, and there was a and the speaker was built in. And at some point it ended up at the foot of my bed, and my dad would put on a record that had the song, "When the red, red robin comes bob, bob, bobbing along, along, there'll be
That's the one my mom used.
when he starts singing his old sweet song. Wake up, you sleepyhead, get up, get up, get out of bed." Obviously, it made an impression on me because I can still remember it. And I was, I was pre-elementary school age, and that song, I can picture the room and the record player and the album cover. Who was the artist? I have to look it up.
It could have been Doris Day, maybe.
Sounds like a Doris Day type song, which
Yeah,
reminds me, my sing-alongs today are Doris Day. Talk about a great singer. Oh my gosh.
Al Jolson sang it, among others.
I can remember our handmade Chinese carpenter crafted bunk beds with the railings and the wooden ladder that hooked on, and the matching red and blue bedspreads that I share with my brother. Oh my gosh. One time he entered a poetry contest, and the newspaper, the South China Morning Post, had a poetry contest, and he wrote a poem that was about his annoying little brother that he shared a bunk bed with, and the brother was me. And the poem was something like, "Below me," it was written one word on a line. So the whole poem was this long, skinny thing, and it was something like, "Below me lies a squirming, tossing, turning, coughing, wiggling, laughing," like, 25 different adjectives. And then at the end it said, "Brother who won't stop." That was the poem, and he won first prize in the South China Morning Post poetry contest. And I went with him to the award receiving ceremony. But it was about his annoying brother that he shared a bunk bed with. And at the foot of that bunk bed was the stereo player where my dad would put on that record. He'd also put on the soundtrack to The Alamo. And some things like the Bing Crosby. There was a Bing Crosby sing-along record that had Katie, beautiful Katie, you're the only girl that I adore. Here comes Rise Shine. Full mix, all parts. I just talk until I see some of you nodding off, and then I know it's time to wrap it up. This is Rise Shine. Full mix, all parts. One, two, three, four. Rise and shine, for the light is a-coming. Rise and shine, for the light is a-coming. Rise and shine, for the light is a-coming. Yes, my Lord says he's coming by his coming. Rise and shine, for the light is a-coming. Rise and shine, for the light is a-coming. Rise and shine, for the light is a-coming. Yes, my Lord says he's coming by and by. This is the year of Jubilee. My Lord says he's coming by and by. My Lord has said his people free. My Lord says he's coming by and by. Bread or rye, I intend to try. My Lord says he's coming by and by. To serve the Lord until I die. My Lord says he's coming by his coming. Gonna rise and shine, for the light is a-coming. Rise and shine, for the light is a-coming. Rise and shine, for the light is a-coming. Yes, my Lord says he's coming by and by. I intend to shine. back and talk about it and work on stuff, but I found something for you. Here is a picture of the bedroom with little Paul playing with his cars. So my dad made friends with a carpenter named Mr. Yeep, and he would draw what he wanted Mr. Yeep to build. And then Mr. Yeep would look at his drawings and make improvements, and then come back in a few weeks with a custom made this or that. So our house was full of custom made, super high end finished carpentry at the hands of Mr. Yeep. And I thought you might enjoy seeing this also. This is me as a toddler being fed Chinese food from Ase, who was our, I guess she was our maid, but she became like a member of the family. So that would have been around 1966, 1967. Homemade, fresh Chinese food right out of the bowl. How about that? Doesn't get any better.
You know how to open your mouth big.
Yes, and rake it in with
Sing.
the chopsticks. Okay, so what spots are giving you trouble in Rise Shine? Where do you feel that you get lost or get tripped up or miss a note?
Towards the end for me.
Okay, where specifically?
Bottom of, well, I guess top of 9.
Okay.
Top of 9 to the end.
Are you singing first soprano or second soprano?
Second soprano, both first and second endings.
Okay, so let's start top of 9, second soprano, the first time. How about that?
I was told first sopranos don't sing this first on the page 30, on the measure 36. So I was practicing first, and she said, drop down to second soprano. The measure 36.
Who told you that?
Hannah. I was practicing, and she said, no, you don't sing the first soprano measure 36. So I just wanted to share with you.
Well, isn't that just the first time or the second time?
No, 36 has no repeat there.
Yeah, so 36, 36 you sing, all the sopranos sing second.
Yeah, I didn't know I was singing first, but it's harder for me to come back down.
Well, then sing whatever is easier for you. I think that was Jonathan trying to make the first soprano part not quite so high. So he put the first soprano notes down an octave in the tenor.
Oh, I see.
The tenors are singing those notes.
There are higher notes, but later. So what's the difference?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. If you can sing it, it's great. Okay, let's go back, Marcia, and do top of 9, second soprano. I'm going to mute you guys real quick. Those of you that are singing second, here it comes. Here we go. Second sopranos, top of 9, 2, 3, 4. Rise and shine, for the light is a coming. Oh, rise, shine, for the light is a coming. My Lord says he's coming by and by. Repeat. Rise, shine, for the light is a coming. Rise and shine, for the light is a coming. Oh, rise, shine, for the light is a coming. Sorry, page turn. My Lord says he's coming by and by. Yes, my Lord says he's coming by and by. Now, it's probably easy to do an isolation like this. Is it when you're singing into it that you forget, or it's tricky?
It's just actually it's just the second ending. The first ending is just like all the rest of it, except for the very last measure. And yeah, I'll get it. It just helps to play it through once. Thank you.
So bottom of 9, going into the second ending, light is a coming, Lord says he's coming by and by. Yes, my Lord says he's coming by and by.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yes, it does. It's not that hard. Thank you. It's not that hard. Thank you.
Any other spots? Anybody like feel like they came off the rails at all or got lost and couldn't get back on? If not, we'll move on. If you feel like you're pretty solid on it, we'll move on to harder things. Well done. Okay. Why is my phone ringing? Zion's Walls, please. Scam likely, Baker, California. I'm getting about 10 of those a day. I want to find who these people are and disable their equipment. That could mean any number of things. I was trying to think of what I could say that was safe to say. Disable their equipment seemed pretty safe.
You could try calling them on a continuous loop.
Yeah. Here we go, Zion's Walls. Go back here. I want to try something. I'm going to share my screen again. And I want to play the Baylor University choir that I looked up. Zion's Walls, Baylor. Here we go. I think that's a great recording. Now tell me, how'd you do? You feel like you're getting it? This is another one that has, the lines have independence one from the other, so it can be tricky to hang on to your own line. Any trouble spots that you would like to hit personally? Don't be embarrassed to say I'm missing such and such.
55, measure 55, page 11. On the tenor part where we come in the beat after, or the half beat after.
Oh, yeah.
And then and all of the end of it sort of gets
Jumbly.
bumpy, jumbled.
So here's one idea that I just thought of, top of 11, for those of you that are singing tenor. Shout, and then in your head think the walls. So you're singing a little bit of the soprano and alto line just for 3 notes, and then you jump back on your line. So in my brain, here's what I'm doing. Shout the walls of Zion, of Zion.
But we don't really have the there.
I
We
know.
go through,
I'm,
right?
I'm just
I
thinking.
gotta put it in my head and sing Paul. Okay, I'll work on it.
That's one possible solution. Maybe not the best one. That's how my mind works. I think of I'm going. Show the walls of Zion, Show the walls of Zion. You could even come off the word shout a little bit early. Shout the walls of Zion, of Zion. The other thing to do would be to just count. Shout, the walls. Shout, sorry. Shout, the walls. That's another way to just count it mathematically.
It's sort of waltzing. It's kind of waltzing, and
It's waltzing because it's in 3. It's in
yeah,
3, which feels like a waltz.
and you just come in a little early. You're just jumping on that and you're pretty stiff.
Out the walls of Zion, of Zion. Does any of that help a little bit, Teal?
Yeah, that does.
But the whole thing, if we go back a section, tenors, to top of 10, we'll shout, we'll shout, we'll shout, we'll shout, we'll shout, the walls of Zion, of Zion. Shout, we'll shout, we'll shout, we'll shout, we'll shout, the walls of Zion, of Zion.
Okay, now I have another question. We're not going up? We're staying on the same note? We're staying on the C?
It's up to you. I was just doing it.
Oh, okay.
Make it easy.
Okay.
You can go of Zion, or you can go of Zion. Yeah, whichever one. They're both in the chord. Any other questions on this one? Did anybody feel like they nailed it 100%? Feel free to say yes if you did. Anybody in the 90s, in the 90% department, like maybe 1 or 2 things missed, but mostly nailing? Well done. I think its song is tricky. I think it's tricky for a variety of reasons. You want to move on? You want to spend time with it? Democratic, move on. Spend time. I'm going to say, let's sing through it one more time. I won't share my screen, but I'll play the recording again. Here it comes. Did it what any better the second time through? Any higher percentage of accurate notes and rhythms the second time through? Good job. Okay, let's move on, please. Happy Together. So here's one thing I like about this song. There's many things, but I like the fact he could have said, imagine me and you, I do. But what he said was, imagine me and you, I do. Where he put that second rhythm makes it so much more interesting than if he had waited one more beat. Imagine me and you, I do. I think about you day and night. It's only right. He could have done that. But the fact that he made the second answer line come in early every time, I think that's part of what makes it clever. Okay, here we go. Let's do a sing through and then we'll talk about tricky passages. Full mix, all parts. This is Happy Together, full mix, all parts. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Da, 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 da. Imagine me and you, I do. I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about the girl you love and hold her tight. So happy together. Da, da, da.
If I should call you up and ask to dine, and you say you belong to me, and ease my mind, imagine how the world could be so very fine, so happy together.
So happy together.
I can see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. Me and you and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me, so happy together.
Me and you and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me, so happy together.
So happy together. And how is the weather? So happy together. So happy together.
Were any of you fans of this song when it was on the radio, like when it was popular? Obviously, I was a little bit too young for that, but I always liked the song. I always thought it was catchy. And I actually think this is a pretty darn good arrangement because it's interesting, but it's not crazy hard. Okay, tricky spots. Here's my favorite spot. Whatever measure that is. That's top of 10. Anybody's
Measure 45, absolutely. That's the one.
Okay. So does it help
Getting
to
notes.
sing into it a little bit?
Getting notes. Can't get my note.
Right at the key change?
I can't get my note from the before. It's you got to go the last few measures and then do the key change.
How about starting last measure, bottom of 9? Ba, 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 ba. Sorry. Ba, 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 ba. Dee, 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 dee. Do we need to go back further, maybe? So, well, here's is it 41? 2, 3, 4. So same place, sopranos. I'm at the last line, the bottom system, bottom of 9. It's measure 41. I've got a hole punched right on top of the number. Ba, 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 sopranos, 2, ready, go. Ba, 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 ba. Dee, 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 dee. One more time. 2 sopranos and ba, 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 ba. Dee, 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 dee. Does that help? It's hard. It's easy. It's easy when we isolate it like that and slow it down. But then when it goes by at performance tempo, and we've been singing for 10 pages, it's still easy to miss it. It's hard to nail it in the context of the song. I realize that. Any other spots?
I'm having trouble on the tenor part, measure 29 through 37.
Let's go back. It's funny, Helen, you look, when I watch you sing, you look like you're nailing everything because you look so happy and casual. I'm thinking,
It's a facade, Paul.
my whole career is a facade. Here we go. That is a tricky spot, especially this one. That E flat note is tricky, I think. Here comes tenors. Bottom of 7, measure 29, a 1, 2, tenors, and me, and you, and me. Had to be you for me, happy together. Was that all? That's the section right there. Do we need to go on further, or that's the one? Let's go back, tenors. So I think the E flat is hard.
Measure 28 is where I get jammed.
Okay.
Life, 27, 28, life, me, that me. We worked on it last week, sorry.
Oh, right. Getting into 20, getting from 28 into 29, right? Oh. So let's go back a little bit, tenors. Let's go back to when you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue. Let's start right there. That's bottom of 6, tenors. 1, 2, ready, go. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. Me, sorry, me and you and me. So I missed it too. Let's try it again. Same place. 1, 2, ready, go. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. Me and you and me. So life is this chord. And then the next chord is this one. One more time, same place. 2, ready, go. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. Me and you and me had to be you for me, happy together. Everybody join in. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 to hold the next chord. How did you do? Little tricky couple pages for some parts.
Yeah,
Some
that's
of
the worst part for us, but it's coming. It's coming.
Some of you are nailing it, and some of you it's just tricky. I think the tenor part has some little tricky measures in it, and like it's 95% easy, and then there's like 2 spots where it's easy to sing the wrong note.
Well, we get so comfortable singing the melody, and then we got to go back to harmony, and uh-oh.
Yeah. Any other spots that you want to hit? Let us call it a day. Thank you so much for your kind attention. I want to find a recording to play us out, and I think it should be Red, Red Robin.
Yeah.
Which version do I think I want? The Doris Day version? Let's go with that one, because I remember it being a female voice.
Thank you, Paul.
You sleepyhead, get up, get out of bed, cheer up, the sun is red, live, love, laugh, and be happy. When the red, red robin comes bobbing along, there'll be no more sobbing when he starts dropping his old sweet song. Wake up, you sleepyhead, get up, get out of bed, cheer up, the sun is red, live, love, laugh, and be happy. What if I've been blue, now I'm walking through fields of flowers. Rain may glisten, but still I listen for hours and hours. I'm just a kid again, doing what I do again, singing a song. When the red, red robin comes bobbing along.
What a fun song. I love that the band is doing this. Have a great day. Great to see you.
Happy
Oh, are you
holidays to everybody.
Are you
Thanks,
coming-
Paul.
Happy
coming
Easter.
to-
Thank you, Paul.
Paul, you're coming to any performance? Are you
Yes,
coming to-
I'm going to
Huh?
try to come. I'm going to try to come to as many of them as I can. Yeah, I want to see you guys face to face.
Yeah.
Thanks. Great to see you today.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.